Hello again, I'm Mike and I'm the Sports History Collector. Today is a very special episode of Athletes at War, where I'm featuring baseball's and the Army's Mickey Grasso, who not only served his country with honor, but also suffered through a little over 2 years as a prisoner of war in Germany. Now, I was planning on waiting several more months before creating this episode, mainly because a few other channels have mentioned Mickey Grasso in the past. In fact, if you want to see a very good video on baseball POWs during World War II, I will put a link to the Athletes Archive. Gordon has great videos and his POW episode is one of the best. I've been fortunate to have been on his channel in the past and count him as a great hobby friend. So why then did I decide to go ahead and create a video? Well, it's due to the excitement of winning a signed Mickey Grasso Bowman card in a recent auction. It's been on my radar for a while, but they either have been too expensive or I've been outbid. So without further ado, I will bring you the story of Mickey Grasso. Newton Michael Grasso was born on May 10, 1920, in Newark, New Jersey. The middle son of Carmen and Lena Grasso, he played ball on the sandlots of Newark and was voted all-city catcher as a fifth grader. Grasso grew up to stand over 6 feet tall while weighing in at 195 pounds. In 1941, Newton's uncle arranged a tryout with the Trenton Senators. The youngster beat out 200 prospects to make the team. Signed as a second baseman, he was shifted behind the plate when the regular backstop was injured. His teammates christened him Mickey based on the remarkable resemblance of Hall of Fame catcher Mickey Cochran. He appeared in 52 games and hit .234 for Trenton in the Class B Interstate League in 1941. And then Pearl Harbor was attacked on December 7th. Mickey enlisted in the Army on January 20th, 1942 and reported to Fort Dix, New Jersey. Grasso was assigned as a sergeant to North Africa, where the 34th Infantry Division. It was there in Tunisia on Hill 609 that Grasso and his division became surrounded by Rommel-led German army as they were retreating and being pursued by Britain's General Montgomery. At one point, the story goes, a young lieutenant turned to Sergeant Grasso and asked, "Mickey, shall we fight?" Mickey glanced apprehensively at the guns, ready to blast the squad out of existence, estimated the overwhelming odds, swallowed, and replied, "Man, don't be crazy." The Germans marched Grasso and the other 6,000 prisoners for 3 days to the city of Tunis on the Mediterranean to a fenced-in compound of ramshackle buildings they called the Old Schoolhouse. It was more or less a staging area for bringing in prisoners from the front. They stayed there about a week, and then they took them to the Tunis airport where they boarded German transport planes, Ju-52s, that looked like Ford tri-motor planes. And they put 15 prisoners on each plane and a couple of Germans going home on furlough. The planes landed in Naples to Camp 66 near Capua, Italy. They stayed there in tents for about 2 weeks before hopping on a train. In Naples, the prisoners were loaded 40 to a boxcar to be transported to Musburg near Munich and into the infamous Dachau concentration camp. 4 days and nights, one 5-gallon lard can for your toilet facilities for 40 men turned into a stinking mess. It was a strictly bread and water routine, no food, 5 men on a loaf of bread every day. Once a day they would let them outside for a toilet break, but most of the time they spent in the boxcar. After 2 weeks in Musburg, it was another 4-day trip to Stalag 3B in Furstenberg near the Polish border, where Grasso and the other men would spend the rest of their time. As you can imagine, POW life was not easy. If you were a corporal or above, at least you could spend your days playing sports or cards, while the privates would be put on work detail duty. They worked 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, cleaning up after bombings, working on railroads like slave labor, one POW said, and they did that on the same rations as everyone who was sleeping all day long. They had it pretty rough. All we did was play ball, he said. The German rations of food were pretty bad most of the time. Each barrack got a big tub of what they called coffee every morning, but it wasn't real coffee, and it was so weak that some of the men used it to shave once they started getting Red Cross rations, but a lot of those were taken by Germans. Then at noon, they'd bring a big tub of dehydrated rutabagas, a type of turnip, all cooked up, and it stunk to high heaven, but it was edible. In the evening, they'd bring a loaf of bread in for 5 men, and 5 men would take turns cutting the loaf of bread up into 5 pieces. Each man got a fifth of it. Each time, a different man in your group would cut that, and he got the last choice. So you can bet he measured that real carefully. And every piece was equal because he wasn't going to give anyone a better piece and him get a lesser piece. And sometimes you would also get a little piece of sausage or cheese. The other thing they did was plan escapes. Mickey took part in 3 failed escapes, which resulted in severe beatings from the guards. By the time the war was almost over, the Germans were worried that they would be overrun by Russian forces, so they started marching different groups out of the camp. Mickey's group was supposedly being marched to Denmark. Whether this was true or not is unknown, but some POWs overheard that the Germans wanted to march them into the areas of Germany that were still being bombed, so that the Allies would be bombing their own troops. Mickey's group was being guarded by old guards, mostly late 60s and early 70s, and when they stopped to sleep for the night, Mickey and 9 others made their escape. One of the POWs spoke fluent German and was able to fool anyone that stopped them and convince them that this was just a work detail. At that time in the war, I don't think anyone really cared. They made their way to the Elbe River and was able to paddle across in an old rowboat with 1 oar. They were immediately met on the other side by American forces. By the time of the escape, the once 205-pound frame of Mickey's was down to 145 pounds. It was a long road back to trying to make a major league club. Mickey had a cup of coffee with the Giants in 1946, but he was not ready to play and spent the next 3 years in the minors. All told, Mickey played parts of 7 seasons, compiling a .226 batting average with 5 home runs and 87 RBIs. Not too bad considering all the work he had to put in just to make it to some semblance of playing shape. He even got the chance to play 1 defensive inning for the Cleveland Indians during the 1954 World Series. The Indians lost to the Giants in that series. You may remember Willie Mays' famous catch, but I'm sure Mickey Grasso was just grateful to be there. Mickey would pass away in 1975 at the young age of 55 with a heart attack. No doubt the ravages of living the POW life took its toll on poor Mickey. Mickey Grasso, thank you for your service and sacrifice to this great country. You will always be remembered. Today I'm very excited to share my new acquisition, a 1951 Bowman Mickey Grasso card, signed beautifully in blue ballpoint pen. This is a great addition to my signed Bowman collection, and you can bet it will not be leaving my collection anytime soon. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Athletes at War, the Mickey Grasso story. And I'll talk to you soon.
Tonight there's gonna be a jailbreak somewhere in this town. See, me and the boys, we don't like it, so we're getting up and going down. High and low, looking right to left. If you see us coming, I think it's best to move away. Do you hear what I say from under my breath? Tonight there's gonna be a jailbreak somewhere in the town. Tonight there's gonna be a jailbreak, so don't you be around. Don't you be around. Tonight there's gonna be trouble. Some of us won't survive. See, the boys and me mean business, busting out dead or alive. I can hear the hound dogs on